There's a saying in Arabic, يتعلق الغريب بحبال الهواء. It means the person who's drowning in the water tries to hold the ropes of air. You know what I mean? There's no ropes, but you always try to survive.
Problems I've got with this sort of pushed idea of illegal migration is the way it's conflated with people who have refugee status. It's trying to roll everything into the same demonised lump.
Unless you work in that field, it gets very, very confused, and they put everybody in the same pot, and when they do that, there's less...
When people flee war, they tend to take their families with them, and what we're seeing is the opposite. There is no such thing as an illegal asylum seeker. An asylum seeker is someone who has fled their country and is trying to get...
You're never a refugee by choice. It's always...
That makes people worried.
Why don't we actually spend some time with the people at the heart of this?
Hello, my name is Ilyas.
Hello, my name is Mohammed and
I am a refugee.
It was necessary for me to leave Sudan because it's a matter of life or death. I believe I was 15, 16, and people like me were being taken by the Janjaweed to prison and being killed away. If I stayed, my destiny would be like same as everyone and same as thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who died in the prison, being tortured by the Janjaweed, and quite often they shoot them on sight.
It was hard saying goodbye to my mom, to my brothers, to my father. It was early in the morning, like it was done. And it was a weird feeling that I'm just going away, but I had no idea if I will return. I mean, when I left, I had no specific place in my head. I'm going to this specific place. Back then, I had even no idea about England. I never think about England. There's no planning. You always have this feeling there are other people who are gonna decide for me.
So it's really important to depict the right picture of what it is, a migration journey. And it's never easy. I mean, for some of them, for example, we at SOS, we collect testimonies of people crossing at sea. And what we see is that, for example, for many of them, it took years to arrive where they are.
How did you get to the UK?
So my journey was long. I had to pass through 10 countries to go to England, starting from Syria to Turkey to Greece, then to Italy, then to France, then to Belgium, Holland, then back to France, back to Holland, back to France again, then Switzerland, Germany, Belgium, Holland, France, Italy, Estonia, Latvia, then England.
You were granted asylum in Greece. What was it like?
It's horrible. It's horrible because I've experienced it in my own and I've seen it in my own eyes. There's only one thing, that drugs, and the other thing was the worst part I ever seen and experienced in my life. There's a group of men, right, as like older men. They used to go to young refugees, like say 15 up to 21, 22, and used to they knew the situation. They are refugees, they have nothing. Come to them, well, come, I can give you 20 euros for 6, for example.
So we arrived to Libya, and there is no official government, and everyone is armed. So the issue in that country is very violent. Living in Libya is like, at least in the sea you have 50-50 chance. Either you make it or you die. But in Libya, it's like a slower death. The boat itself, it was a fishing boat. Some people were crying upon boarding, so they didn't want to board, but they said, you have no choice. Either you're gonna climb on this boat or they're gonna kill you. So after 7 hours, because the boat was very old and we were too many of us, unbalanced, the water started coming in. the more we move, the more water comes in. So we stop there, waiting for, praying for help. 20 minutes later, a helicopter came. They called for help. A few minutes later, a German ship came by and rescued everyone. But we were very, very close to die.
You know, what we're doing is quite simple. We're saving lives. So there's no way that we can just leave people die at sea because they're seeking for a safe place. They should not have to face such risks.
What is a refugee?
It's someone who wants just peace, be in a place where he can feel safe and find life again.
Do you think people understand refugees?
No.
If you come here illegally, you can't claim asylum, you can't make spurious human rights claims, and you can't stay.
Where are you from?
From Sudan!
Almost 2,000 migrants reached the UK by boat last month.
Because the population is out of control.
Net migration should come down.
Which is more toxic, legal or illegal migration? Oh, goodness me, I don't think there's much between them.
Tens of thousands of mostly young men.
For an awful lot of voters out there, it's issue number 1 or issue number 2.
I think there are a lot of people that are facing some really hard challenges right now, and they're looking for an answer, they're looking for a solution. And one narrative is telling them that the problem is all these migrants coming here, and so it makes sense to them.
It really depends on where you live in the UK. In many, many cases, there's a real blind spot around the communities that some people have to live in, which are in turmoil, absolute turmoil. No work, no businesses, no opportunity, you know, terrible, terrible environments to live in, and they're just neglected. It's almost as if we park it and don't talk about it.
Migration has risen up the kind of league table of issues that voters care about when we think about polling ahead of the next election. Partly, I think that's been driven by the fact that we're constantly being told about it as an electorate. And so media kind of focus upon it, but also then kind of political rhetoric around it as well. So this kind of ramping up of that focus and attention has a political angle, but it's also partly reflecting, you know, voters' concerns.
The media is, again, polarised. That's the problem. You get the right wing saying all these people coming in, it's wrong. All these people coming legally, that's even more wrong. And not saying much about it beyond that, must try and stop it. You get the left-wing press saying all these people are human beings, we must let them in, or a large number of them in, and that's the main issue, and you mustn't try and, you must behave, you know, in a proper human rights way.
If you're being told constantly from a political perspective that this is a problem or a challenge, and media is then reiterating that same message without necessarily doing the work of critically questioning it or challenging it in some ways, and also importantly, very rarely actually giving voice to people who are in the asylum system or who have come from refugee backgrounds to discuss their experience of this. That kind of imbalance, I think, is the really important one. It's between the kind of the power of whose voices are being foregrounded and in what ways.
Do you understand why people might get frustrated about migration in the UK?
Yes, I do understand why people get angry or feel angry about it. Because if someone working hard and they pay more than, I don't know, 35–40% of their salary tax, and just hearing part of my tax going to this hotels, which is they are hearing from the media that people are sitting there and getting food, all of this, etc. So when it comes to a refugee being described as a migrant, people, they need to start to recognize the difference between a migrant and a refugee. The migrant has a choice, and the refugee has no choice.
So migrant, you leave somewhere to start a better life. However, a refugee, someone like me, who a survivor. Yeah.
Do you feel like we confuse the two in the UK?
Yes, I would say yes.
What do you think about the migration debate in the UK?
I sort of sometimes listen to it and sometimes I don't, because it's confusing.
So although illegal immigration needs to be addressed, I don't think we need to be reducing migration so much.
The term illegal migrants is used quite a lot. Have you heard that term being used?
I have not heard that term specifically. You hear more of the methods in which people come in illegally. But you can only imagine that they're fleeing horrible situations, so to make that illegal, seems like quite a harsh term.
And obviously there is illegal, which needs addressing somehow. I don't have the answers for how, but definitely, it can't be everybody moving around undocumented. I mean, that sort of sounds a bit crazy.
One of the problems I've got with this sort of pushed idea of illegal migration is the way it's conflated with people who have refugee status, and the way that there's this move to push them into a situation where people who are refugees and wanted to claim refugee status couldn't possibly actually do it.
I'm fearful that the language being used of illegal migrant does confuse people, and people who are good law-abiding citizens logically would say, well, of course I'm against things that are illegal, and therefore I must be against these migrants. So there is no such thing as an illegal asylum seeker. An asylum seeker is someone who has fled their country and is trying to get refugee status in another country. So let's say, like my friends who have tried to leave Sudan to be reunited with their father in the UK. There are no safe and legal routes for them to do so at the moment. They're not from Ukraine, they're not from Afghanistan or from Hong Kong. Those are the only 3 countries that there are currently safe and legal routes. So they make their way to the UK. Their only route normally is to get on a small boat. You come on a small boat, this government now describes you as an illegal migrant, and you're going, well, actually, according to international law, you're an asylum seeker.
A refugee, as opposed to an economic migrant, is not has no means of resolving his problem. He's in a difficult situation, he or she is in a difficult situation, and they can't get out of it other than by behaving illegally. And they're being forced to behave illegally because there is no legal route for them to come here, and that is the problem. You could say that illegal migration should not be the term applied to these people. They should be considered to be asylum seekers, and that's it.
If you are someone who left your country for your own safety, and you've been in a dangerous place, your life was at risk, and you left that place, and you cannot go back there, and you suddenly been described as a person who come here for work, for economic things, and you describe like, well, just go back to your home country. I think that's dangerous.
The term illegal migration is really, really unhelpful, and it doesn't help those who are in actual need. But I can see why it's happened. It's happened because we didn't have the conversation in the middle about control, about systems, putting systems into place, and in particular the aftercare. So making sure that whoever we go and rescue, when we bring them here, there's something for them to do, there's training, there's opportunity, all those things, so that they can fit into society that doesn't create this division.
What's life like now?
Well, life now it feels better for me than before, because I got a job, yeah, just getting normal life like as any normal person.
I play football and I watch football. I support my United. They're not doing very good, but I also joined to a chess club. I was really bad at it. My dream is Sudan gets better, safer, and I go back home.
Would you call the UK home?
Definitely it is home, yeah. Home, I would say home is a feeling, it's not a place. Get to know and get closer to someone who is a refugee and just listen to them, just hear their stories. You'll get something out of all of this. Just listen.